Hey guys, welcome back to Ben Talk Sports. So the first seed Philadelphia 76ers just lost to the 5th seed Atlanta Hawks in an amazing 7-game series that was actually really fun to watch as a basketball fan. And boy, do I have a lot to talk about. And we're going to get into both teams and kind of talk about what happened before, during, and after the series and what we learned about both teams. But before we start though, please smash that like button as it really helps out the channel. So, without further ado, let's begin. So first things first, let's start off with the winners of this series, the Atlanta Hawks. And maybe it's just me, but I sort of think that the Hawks aren't being talked about enough, because obviously everybody wants to discuss and bash the 76ers, specifically Ben Simmons for his performance, and we will definitely get to that. But before that, I just want to say congratulations to the Atlanta Hawks, because I don't think even the biggest Hawks fans would predict that they would be in the conference finals. And if you did, stop lying, man. We all know you didn't. So before I actually talk about this series, I just wanted to take a step back and look at how they were in the regular season. Now, about midway through the regular season, before Nate McMillan was their head coach, they were like the 8th or 9th seed in the East, and things got way better after they fired Lloyd Pierce. The entire team just seemed more engaged on both ends of the floor, and the fact that they fought until they got the 5th seed and matched up with the Knicks, most people, including myself, thought that the Knicks were gonna come out victorious, and I'm gonna admit it, I was absolutely wrong. They got the job done in 5 games behind Trae Young, who had an amazing playoff debut series, as he had 32, 7, and 10 in Game 1 and averaged nearly 30 points per game for the entire series, in a series which they were the underdogs. Then they got matched up with the Sixers, and again they were the underdogs, but prevailed and won in a tough-fought 7-game series led by, obviously, Trae Young, who is amazing at controlling the pace of the game and making everyone play at his pace. And maybe he drew some James Harden type fouls that weren't really fouls, but hey, you still gotta knock them down, which someone on the Sixers had a lot of trouble doing. But we can't give Trae all the credit, because as well as he played this entire series, averaging about 29 points, 11 assists, and 3 rebounds, he had an awful shooting performance in Game 7, going 5 for 23 from the field. So other players on the team had to step up, and especially Kevin Huerter, who had his playoff career high in the most important game of his life. 27 points, 10 for 18 from the field. Shout out to him, man, he played extremely well. Now also, we can't forget about the 2 big men for the Hawks, Clint Capella and John Collins. Now Capella did his job defending and catching lobs extremely well, and Collins has turned into a great two-way player that can knock down threes to keep the defense honest, and show that he can be the second best player on a championship caliber team. In terms of how they're going to match up with Milwaukee, I don't know if they can pull this one out, Chief. But I have been underestimating them all season long, and they have continued to prove me wrong. So we'll see if they can pull another upset 3 series in a row. I mean, if we have learned anything about the NBA, it's that anything is possible. Next up, let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. And where do I even start? Now on paper, the Sixers had the easiest road to the conference finals, because they were the 1st seed and they faced the 8th seeded Wizards with an injured Bradley Beal. Then either the Knicks or the Hawks, which on paper, and I gotta stress that, on paper, that should have been a cakewalk. Even after they lost Game 1 to the Hawks, they still should have won the series, but they didn't. And why is that? Well, 2 words: Ben Simmons. And how do I even begin to talk about him? Now I'm gonna be honest and say that even though he played terrible offensively, he was a pretty good defender for the Sixers. But the Sixers ain't paying him $32 million a year just to play defense. He's gotta at least have some production offensively. Now let me read out some stats for y'all so you know how bad he played offensively in this series. He averaged 9.9 points per game on 60% shooting from the field, but averaged 6.4 shot attempts per game, and shot 33% from the free throw line and 0% from 3, which is to be expected. Look, I don't know if I'm a bit too harsh, but how can an all-star who's getting paid $32 million a year putting up 4 shots in a Game 7? We all know that clip of Simmons passing up the open dunk late in the fourth quarter of Game 7 because he was like afraid to get fouled or something. And I was like, dude, we have Trae Young who is hoisting up 3-pointers from the logo, and you're afraid to take a shot in the paint. But speaking of shots, let's talk about his free throws. So he shot 15 for 45 for the entire series, which is 33.3%, which is worse than most players' 3-point percentage. And he wasn't just bad, he was historically bad. He became the worst volume free throw shooter in the playoffs in NBA history. Yup, worse than guys like Shaq and Wilt, who are centers. So I think going forward, they're gonna have to trade Simmons because this just isn't working out. And to think that they turned down Houston's offer for James Harden is just hysterical. But enough about him, let's talk about some positive things about the Sixers. Specifically, Joel Embiid, because he was an absolute monster in this series despite being slightly injured. He put up about 30 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks on 47% shooting from the field, 35% from 3, and 82% from the charity stripe. And there was really nothing more he could have done, and it still wasn't enough. So if I'm Embiid, I'm telling the front office, hey look, I want to win, so either trade me to a better team or trade Ben Simmons for a player that can actually relieve some pressure off me. Because he was kind of throwing shade at Ben during his post-game interview in Game 7. But I do have to give a shout out to Seth Curry. He was incredible in this series and was the clear-cut second best player on the team, which is not a good look for your team because you have 2 other guys who are getting paid max money, and Seth Curry, who is getting paid like $8 million a year, played better than both of them. Now, he was extremely efficient as he put up about 21 points per game on 61% shooting from the field and 60% from 3. So he did his job. But Tobias Harris, on the other hand, was pretty insignificant during this entire series. I mean, he put up decent stats, but he really shrunk in the latter part of the series, especially in Game 5 where he shot 2 for 11. So if they don't figure something out, I don't see them being serious contenders next season. And I saw somewhere someone tweeted the Hawks made the conference finals like 5 years ago, tore that whole team down, and made it to the conference finals again before the process was done processing. So I just kind of thought that was funny. So that's basically the end of this video. Now let me know in the comment section down below what are your guys' thoughts about both teams, and also let me know if you guys think the Hawks can actually upset the Bucks. Now with that being said, thank you guys very much for watching this video. We are pushing for 1,000 subscribers in 2021, so if you guys liked it, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications as I upload new videos every single week. And thanks for watching.